The sea off the coast of Capri had been calm earlier that day. The sun shimmered against the water like molten glass, the breeze soft and deceptive. But just before sunset, it turned cruel. Brooke Logan had been standing on the upper deck of the yacht, hair undone, laughter caught in the salt air, when the railing beneath her gave way. One moment she was upright, the next she was falling, twisting, crashing into the water with a soundless splash that only those watching from the deck could register. Panic broke out immediately. Screams. Footsteps. The shrill voice of someone shouting her name. But it was Ridge Forrester who dove in without hesitation. Clothes still on, no thought to safety. Just instinct. He pulled her out, fought the pull of the tide, dragged her onto the boat with everything he had left in his lungs. Paramedics were called. A medical helicopter met them on the shore. But by the time they landed, Brooke wasn't breathing on her own. She was alive, but only just. The fall hadn't broken her bones, but the impact and the sudden intake of water had caused catastrophic trauma to her lungs. By the time they stabilized her in the intensive care unit overlooking the Amalfi Cliffs, Brooke was connected to a hyperbaric oxygen system. A machine now helped her do what she once did with ease: breathe. The doctors warned of a rare complication, high-risk pulmonary contusions compounded by emotional sensitivity. According to Dr. Finn, who arrived by medical jet the same night, any surge in emotion, panic, stress, even laughter, could cause her lungs to collapse again. He looked Ridge in the eye and didn't sugarcoat it. You need to keep her calm. Her life depends on it. Ridge never left her side. He sat by her bed for hours, brushing hair away from her pale face, whispering things only she could hear. Brooke floated in and out of consciousness, lips dry, eyes glazed, but always drifting back to Ridge. He held her hand, whispered memories, old promises, tried to make her laugh even when she couldn't. For a while, it felt like time had stopped. There were no scandals, no history, just the sound of machines and the soft pull of breath. Taylor Hayes arrived 2 days later. She entered the room quietly and stopped in the doorway when she saw Ridge. He hadn't shaved. He hadn't changed his clothes. His eyes were red and heavy. Her heart cracked. She had always known Ridge and Brooke shared a bond few could understand. But this was deeper. It wasn't about lust or nostalgia. It was something more dangerous: inevitability. Taylor watched him silently for a while before gently asking him to get some rest. He didn't move. He didn't even turn to face her. "I'm not leaving her," he said. "Not now." Taylor nodded, masking the sting, then turned and walked out. Later that night, Brooke stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, and Ridge was there instantly, leaning forward, gripping her hand gently. "Logan," he whispered, voice catching. "You're safe. You're okay." Her lips moved. Dry. Cracked. He brought water to them, dabbed a cloth across her forehead. She took shallow breaths, machines hissing softly around her. And then, in a voice that barely registered as more than a breath, she said it. "My destiny, Ridge." 3 words. Faint. Fragile. But they shattered everything. Ridge froze. His heart pounded in his chest. Her eyes were glassy, dazed, but they were locked on his. There was no misunderstanding. No ambiguity. In the space between life and death, Brooke had reached for the one truth she had always held. He was the center of her soul. And she had said it with nothing left to gain. No drama. No manipulation. Just truth. Ridge staggered backward, emotions unraveling inside him. He remembered the countless times Brooke had used those words, "my destiny." Once it sounded poetic. Later, obsessive. But now it was terrifying in its honesty. He looked at her, chest rising and falling with mechanical assistance, and realized she had nearly died still believing he was her forever. No demands. Just fact. He sat in the corner of the hospital room, head in his hands, trapped in a storm. Because Ridge was engaged to Taylor. He had promised her a future, a life. He had committed to healing old wounds and finally choosing stability over chaos. He had meant it. He did love Taylor. But Brooke's words had sliced straight to the center of his soul. What if she was right? What if all these years, he'd just been trying to outgrow a truth he never really escaped? The next morning, Taylor returned and found Ridge outside the room, staring at the sea from the balcony. She approached him slowly, sensing the shift. "You haven't left her side," she said quietly. He nodded. "She almost died." Taylor waited. "And what else?" she asked. Ridge turned to her, expression conflicted. "She said something last night, right before she passed out again." He didn't have to repeat it. Taylor already knew. The words were etched into her memory. Brooke had used them for decades. Taylor's hands clenched into fists. "You promised me," she said. Her voice trembled, but her spine was straight. "You said you were done with her. You proposed to me. We were planning our future." Ridge stepped closer. "And I meant every word." Taylor's eyes narrowed. "But you're wavering. I can see it." Ridge didn't deny it. He couldn't. The silence confirmed everything. Taylor looked through the glass at Brooke's unconscious form. "You want to go back to her, don't you?" Ridge exhaled. "I don't know what I want right now." It was the worst answer he could give. Taylor stepped back, fury rising through the hurt. "After everything she's done. After all the times she's betrayed you. Lied. Hurt your children. And now, what, because she said 3 words in a hospital bed, you're ready to throw everything away?" Ridge didn't respond. He didn't need to. Taylor walked away. But she wasn't retreating. She was regrouping. She returned to her hotel and made a call. To Steffi. To Thomas. To her lawyer. She had decided. If Ridge was going to betray her again, she wasn't going to go quietly. This time, she would protect herself. This time, she would be ready. And this time, Brooke Logan wouldn't be allowed to hide behind destiny. Not anymore. Back at the hospital, Brooke regained consciousness again. She asked for Ridge. When he entered the room, she reached for him, eyes wet with unshed tears. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I just needed you to know." Before I couldn't say it. Ridge kissed her forehead. He didn't speak. Because he didn't know what to say. He didn't know who he was anymore without her, or without Taylor. He was a man caught between a promise and a pulse. Between a vow and a whisper. And the storm hadn't passed. It had only just begun. When word spread through Los Angeles that Brooke Logan was in critical condition after her accident off the coast of Capri, the city held its breath. For some, the news was devastating. For others, it stirred old wounds and deeper intentions. But for Sheila Carter, it was opportunity. The moment she saw the headlines, "Brooke Logan survives fall, condition critical," emotional stress could be fatal, something cold and strategic shifted in her mind. She poured a glass of wine, sat by the window, and let the wheels turn. Sheila had always loathed Brooke. There was history. There was venom. But now there was leverage. Brooke was physically broken, mentally vulnerable, and emotionally fragile. And Ridge Forrester, the one man whose loyalty kept her centered, was torn between duty and longing. Sheila could see it. The timing was perfect. But she needed an inside player. Someone who hated Brooke as much as she did. Someone close to the Forrester orbit. Someone smart enough to want revenge and bitter enough to act on it. The answer came quickly. Taylor Hayes. Their history was complicated. Violent, even. There was no love lost. But for all her calm, rational, therapeutic exterior, Sheila knew Taylor had her breaking point. She had watched her from afar, watched her give Ridge another chance, watched her believe the fairy tale, only to see Ridge run back to Brooke like a moth to fire. Again. And now Ridge was slipping. His hours by Brooke's hospital bed weren't a secret. Neither were the rumors that Brooke had whispered something powerful before falling unconscious again. Everyone knew it. 3 words, my destiny, Ridge. It was always those words. Sheila made her move. She approached Taylor discreetly at a cafe tucked far from Beverly Hills, in sunglasses and a scarf, cautious but calm. When Taylor saw her, she nearly left. But Sheila stopped her with 5 quiet words. We're both her victims, Taylor. That got her attention. Taylor sat. She listened. Sheila spoke slowly, carefully. You gave Ridge your heart. Again. And again, she took him. It's always the same cycle. I know because I've watched it from the outside and lived it from the inside. She destroyed my chance at being accepted. She used her tears and her body and always walked away clean. Taylor didn't respond at first. But her silence wasn't rejection, it was consideration. She's weak now, Sheila continued. Exposed. But somehow everyone still pities her. Everyone still waits for her to wake up and smile like none of it was her fault. If you want to keep Ridge, if you want to protect your daughter, you need to stop her. Permanently. Taylor's eyes narrowed. What do you mean permanently? I'm not talking about violence, Sheila said. I'm talking about truth. Destruction. Exposure. Use me. I can help. I know things about her. Her past. Her manipulations. I've seen what she's done. Let's drag her down legally, socially, emotionally. Let's end the Brooke Logan cycle. Taylor stood to leave but paused. And what do you want in return? Sheila smiled. I want my son back. That was the real agenda. Sheila wasn't pretending otherwise. Steffi has poisoned Finn against me. But if I can separate them, if I can make her question Taylor, he might give me a chance. You and I? We're just a means to our ends. You keep Ridge. I get Finn. And Brooke. She topped the newspaper. She loses everything. Taylor didn't say yes. But she didn't say no. And that silence was all Sheila needed. From that moment, the alliance began. Quiet. Cautious. Toxic. Taylor reached out to an old contact in media, an editor at Ion Fashion who owed her a favor. She leaked a confidential report. Brooke's recovery was unstable. Emotional trauma could result in relapse. The article was vague but targeted. Ridge saw it and panicked. Taylor pretended surprise, all while watching how it pulled Ridge closer to concern and further from logic. Sheila, meanwhile, began planting seeds. Anonymous emails. Tips to tabloids. Old affairs and family secrets re-emerged in whispered columns. Public sympathy for Brooke began to fade. But Sheila had another front. Steffi. She approached her daughter-in-law at a coffee shop near the hospital, feigning concern. I heard about Brooke, she said gently. It's tragic. But I can't help thinking about how it affects you. And Finn. He's been through so much. The chaos. The instability. You've always had to clean up your mother's messes. Steffi, instinctively cold, shut down the conversation. Don't pretend you care. But Sheila didn't need her to believe. She just needed the words to linger. She kept showing up. A hallway at the hospital. A parking lot near the foundation building. Always uninvited, but always armed with sincerity and concern. I know I've done terrible things. But I'm still Finn's mother. And I see what this triangle Brooke, Ridge, and your mom is doing to him. To you. Steffi remained unmoved. But inside, doubts flickered. Not about Sheila, but about her mother. Because Ridge had stopped coming home again. He stayed overnight at the hospital now. Not just to protect Brooke, but to be with her. Taylor claimed to understand. But Steffi saw the cracks. Then came the breaking point. A leaked audio clip surfaced in the press. It was Brooke, half-conscious, whispering from her hospital bed, "Don't let Taylor take you from me again." The media exploded. It was confirmation. She wanted Ridge. She still believed he was hers. Taylor denied releasing the tape. Sheila played innocent. But both of them knew where it came from. Ridge was devastated. He confronted Taylor. "Did you do this?" She didn't answer. He saw the truth in her eyes. "You're using her sickness against her." Taylor finally snapped. She is the sickness. Their engagement shattered. Steffi was furious. Not just at Taylor, but at herself. At the betrayal. At the manipulation. She found herself thinking back to Sheila's words. Your mother creates chaos. You have to live in it. The line haunted her. Sheila waited. When Finn finally visited her in secret, curious, cautious, she cried real tears. I just wanted to be your mother again, she said. And I hoped one day, you'd see that I'm not the worst one in this story. And for once, Finn didn't walk away. Now, everything is unraveling. Brooke remains in recovery, unaware of the storm outside her hospital walls. Ridge is alone, torn between loyalty, guilt, and love. Taylor is exposed, her integrity compromised, her daughter questioning her. Sheila smiles from the shadows, closer to her son than she's been in years. Two enemies united by hatred. One woman clinging to life. And the whole world watching as the lines between victim and villain vanish into thin air.